What is up, Bruins fans? Today I'm bringing Clement episode 387 of the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. Host Sam Smith and David Collins, joined by special guest Kenny Kaminsky, will discuss whether they think the next Bruins head coach should be John Tortorella.
So let's talk, okay? The Philadelphia Flyers fired John Tortorella, and David already is giving his thoughts with his scratching his head. The Flyers have fired John Tortorella as their head coach. A lot of people came out and said, Bruin. Okay? A lot of people were thinking that maybe he is the next head coach of the Boston Bruins. Okay? I don't know if that's the right idea or the wrong idea. I'm going to do a roundtable discussion. Chat, you guys can hop into, for those who are listening live, you can hop into. Kenny? John Tortorella, the next head coach of the Boston Bruins. Does it sound good or does it sound awful?
I'm actually a huge fan of John Tortorella, but I never really considered him to be a Boston Bruins coach. And in that aspect, I say probably not, especially with the amount of young players coming through. I don't think that they should be playing scared. Just seeing the mess that went on, just the embarrassment of how Michkov has been handled this year. Second on the team in points, and he's being sat in the stands for what? Like, come on. Imagine if Mason Lohrei got punished for every single mistake he made. He'd probably be in Providence right now, and we'd be calling him a bust. It's just, I think where this team is going, you need a coach that's not a friend, somebody who is tough on certain players, and somebody who can let up a little bit on some other players. I just think John Tortorella is a really cookie cutter coach where it's like it's his way or the highway. If you don't really fit into his mold, then you're not going to like him. And I just think with the amount of players coming up with, different wants and what they need for development, I don't necessarily think John Tortorella is going to be the guy. If he does end up signing as a coach, good luck to everybody who goes out to those Bruins games here in B&G. Tom, Jason, good luck, talking to him after a 7-2 loss, because that'll be fun. You might end up on a few Twitter clips, bar down, TSN, good luck.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I can only imagine. Okay. We've said on this show that Fabian Lysell has kind of an ego. Okay. David, stop. Okay. I know you're thinking. Fabian Lysell has an ego. John Tortorella has a massive ego. They would butt heads. And I don't want to know. I don't even want to I don't even want to think about it. I'm throwing up the X. No thanks on John Tortorella. I don't even want to find out what some of these players would do with Tortorella. I think Tortorella would drive the Bruins nuts. I think the Bruins would drive Tortorella nuts. I think everything would go to shit immediately if the Bruins signed Tortorella. David?
I feel like Mark is faking his illness just so he doesn't have to talk about this nonsense. John Tortorella in Boston would be explosive. The only people who would enjoy having Tortorella in Boston are people who enjoy content. He's not I'm saying this from a personal opinion. He's not a great head coach. He's really had no success anywhere he's ever gone outside of a couple stops, but he has quotes for days. The only reason I would want to see him come to Boston is so that Zadorov could absolutely fill him in. Sam, you are right. If Lysell does have that ego they speak about, that would quickly be burned out by a guy like Torts. In my opinion, there's absolutely nothing positive that could come from hiring a guy like Tortorella, especially if it seems like this offseason they want to set a new culture and really come in with fresh ideas and things like that. So I almost don't want to see a recycle. I'd like to see a new head coach who's never been a head coach in the NHL before, someone who has some, big backing behind him from some of the minor leagues or college or something. I know David Carl is a big one that people talk about, right? That's a guy that I would like to see brought in. But if Bruce Cassidy can't make it in Boston because of the way he treats players, then John Tortorella would just be an absolute no. There is one, I know that we're talking about Torts specifically, but the other name that I don't want to see brought to Boston, just since we're on the topic of not bringing people in, Joel Quenneville. I don't want to see him brought in. And the reason he is good with young players, I just finished listening to the Bruins Beat podcast with Ivan Marinovsky, and they spoke about how good he is with young players. And he is good with young players, but with all the shit that the Bruins went through with that Mitchell guy, and then the shit that Quenneville is going through, like, I think Quenneville is going to get another opportunity in the NHL, but it should not be with Boston.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I don't even want to think about that. That would be a PR disaster. John Tortorella, a 2004 Stanley Cup champion. That was his only Stanley Cup he's won as a head coach. He was with the 2004 Lightning. So he's right. Not a ton of success. I mean, he's won a Stanley Cup.
But when, Sam? When?
What?
He won in what, 2004, you said?
Yeah.
That's 21 years ago, man. He's still stuck in 2004, and that's half of his problem.
Damn.
Yes. Yeah, so I wasn't even alive then. So that probably speaks to I wouldn't even be born for 2 years after Torts won that cup. But to your point, like, you talk about Lysel's ego, and I know I use the word confidence a lot. Like, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing to have a little bit of an ego and trust your game. Like, I don't want it to be arrogance, but having a little confidence in your stuff, like, I think every player needs that, and having John Tortorella burn that down would be a problem.
Michkov went through the same thing. Michkov has confidence, and Tortorella smashed it. Okay.
Do you see him now? It's like a weight has been lifted off his shoulder. He's been insane since Tortorella left.
He scored like 2 goals against the Sabres yesterday. It was ridiculous. I remember seeing a picture. It was like a week comparison. So he's sitting on the bench, and Michkov was sitting there like this. Those who are listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, go back and watch the YouTube VOD. He's in there like this. A screenshot yesterday was him of like this, and he's smiling. He's like, oh, yeah, this is great. Relaxed shoulders. He's like budging with the guys next to him. Like, he is into it. Okay, man, I'm telling you, something went down. Something went down in Philadelphia, because there is no way that's not a coincidence. There's no way that's not a coincidence.
Well, did you hear about what Danny Briere was saying? He was like, yeah, we like him, but, it was whatever. He was saying some stuff where I could definitely see something happening, or something that he does was not working with these younger guys. So, yeah. And I don't know if Tortorella would even want to coach the Bruins. I think of it as a prestigious job because it's an original 6 team, and they're my favorite team. So I would definitely coach if I had the opportunity. But I don't know if he wants to go to another team that's kind of beginning that retool, rebuild phase.
100%. I'm with you on that. I don't know if he would be the guy, right? Somebody said Mike Sullivan. Okay. He has the experience. He has the championships. He has the resume. Sure. Would he want to go from one dwindling team to another is my question, right? Because Pittsburgh, they're in kind of the same spot the Bruins are at the moment. If we take a look at the draft lottery, Pittsburgh's just ahead of us, right? Is Sullivan the answer? I don't think so.
I also don't want to jump the gun. I mean, right? He still has a job, so
Yeah.
I would hate to be like dedicating all this time to like, oh my God, Mike Sullivan, great coach for the Bruins, and then he ends up not getting fired or ends up going somewhere else. He's not even on the job market right now. And during that 6-hour BNG live stream, I know we talked about coaching, and it's going to be difficult to pull some of those better college coaches from the college ranks where life is just a lot easier, right? The season's only a couple months. They get to recruit everybody, so they don't have to just, implement game plans. They get to pick every single player that enters the program and stuff like that. So I think David Carl has like one of the best jobs in college hockey, so I don't know if he's ready to leave that yet.
No, I agree. I'm going to bring up this guy's name as a possible head coach. If Providence goes on a run, Ryan Mougenel. Kenny is nodding his head.
I threw in Ryan Muginel's name earlier. I have no idea if that's gonna work out or not. He's been head coaching Providence for I think 4 seasons now, and he's done incredible work with the prospects. I think they've been really doing well, and I don't know. Maybe they would want an NHL coach. I don't know if the Boston Bruins are necessarily a job where you can come out of the AHL and start coaching. I don't see the Bruins as that. I see like the Sharks as a team that might pull like a really successful head coach from the AHL, but I don't know if the Bruins would do that. So it's definitely something interesting, and I would throw Ryan Muginel's hat in the ring for sure.
David?
I think it depends on what their plan is next season. So let's just say that Sullivan does get fired or he steps down or whatever. If the Bruins can make a promise to Sullivan that they're going to compete next season and kind of give him a guarantee they're going to go out and spend some money, fill out the roster to compete next year, then I could see it being more of a Mike Sullivan, David Carl, someone who can come in and kind of, work with the mixture of older players and younger players and really go in and compete. If they're thinking more along the lines of like, we're going to take 2 or 3 years and rebuild, fill out the roster with younger players and, kind of let them go through the motions for a couple of years, then I could see a guy like Muginel getting a shot. But if they're planning to compete next year, I don't think you're going to see a guy like Muginel. Someone had mentioned in the chat, Todd Nelson. I'm not overly familiar with the name. If you guys have anything on him.
I don't, but to your point, I hope that's not the case where the Bruins are trying to be that quick with it and turn around and try to compete next year. I think hockey is so rush. These guys got to rush to the NHL. These guys got to rush to college. These guys got to do this. And we're seeing it right now with Dean Letourneau, who probably could have used a year in the USHL, ends up rushing to BC, not playing that great. I just hope that they take their time, they relax, they have prospects and picks. Just let them develop and let them come up through time.
He's the head coach. He's the head coach of the Hershey Bears.
Okay, so same idea. He's AHL. So I would put him in the same ring as Muginel. Kenny, to touch on that point, and I touched on this a while ago, I think the signings this offseason are really going to show us where their brain is at in terms of if they plan to compete next year or not. Like, we talked about guys like Marner. If they go ahead and sign a guy like Marner, then they're planning to compete next year, right? But if they kind of take that $27 million and spread it around to some younger players, give the guys in the AHL, like Providence, give them some more run with the NHL, then I think it'll be easier to see that this is more of a long-term project. So I think this offseason it's critical for the Bruins because it can go one of several different ways. And a lot of it boils down to what they do with the front office, what they do with the coaching staff, and what they do with the roster. All of that needs to mesh very well, no matter what their plan is going into next season. They need to have a very clear-cut plan. I don't want to sit here in August of next year going, who's going to be the second line right wing? And then in March of next year, be doing the exact same thing, right? So they really got to mesh these three together in terms of the front office, the coaching staff, and the roster, and really figure it out and just have a plan and stick to it. If it's a 5-year plan to get back to contending, it's a 5-year plan. If you're planning on going into next year, then saddle up and let's do it. But make sure that everyone is on the same page and make sure that all the philosophies align with what the plan is for the team for the near future and also for the I guess the further future, the long-term future.
Yeah, and I think the Bruins have a lot of money right now. I think it would be in their best interest to maybe offer sheet somebody, put some pressure on some other teams to sign these young guys. I know Nyes is a restricted free agent. Would love to see them put some pressure on Toronto. I love offer sheets. I love what St. Louis did last year, where they get Holloway and Broberg, and they kind of put Edmonton in a bind. I want to see it more. I know that the owners won't be happy, but I think once teams start doing it, the ball starts rolling. Like, it's going to be very, very exciting. So, and I'm willing to give up a pick for Nyes, obviously. So there really is no downside.
The other side of that too, Kenny, they have a lot of Sam, sorry to cut you off there. They have draft capital now. Like, at the deadline, they picked up some of these extra picks, right? So you can look at it a couple different ways. Like, like you said, they can sign someone to an offer sheet and get rid of a pick because they probably feel more comfortable now getting rid of a pick now that they have all these extra picks. The other side of it is they can package a lot of these picks and trade for someone. Or they can sit back and be like, 5-year plan and make a lot of these picks and put them in, the certain areas of where they're going to be next year and in the future. But again, I think it really all boils down to, making sure everyone's on the same page. And that needs to happen before the draft. I'm sure one of you two know. When is the lottery?
Oh, they just announced the date. They just announced the date, too.
I know the draft, I think, is June 28th and 29th. I don't know when the lottery is.
Lottery's probably sometime in May.
B&G Live draft lottery?
Yeah. 6:30. Man, I'm down. 6:30 Eastern time, May 7th. So it's a Tuesday, 6:30 Eastern time, which is 8 o'clock p.m. Newfoundland time.
Oh,
also,
that's for 2024.
Oh, you're right. Oops.
They have not announced the 2025 draft lottery yet. Anyway.
Okay. Well,
regardless, I'm down to do a watch party of the draft lottery as well. I'm willing to do it. I'm down to sit down and just go, hey, let's see who gets the top picks.
Absolutely.
I think that'd be a great stream to do. I'm down.
And then also
the other side of it too, guys, is like considering the run that the Bruins have been on in terms of playoff success, when's the last time that Bruins fan has been excited about the lottery? It's kind of refreshing to be in this situation where you're like, here we go.
2015?
I think so. And
the McDavid year?
Fuck, that didn't go well, did it?
No, I mean, yeah, not a great year, but look.
But you're right. That's probably the last year that we considered like being excited about the lottery. So that's something else to look at is that, be thankful. A lot of these teams don't have the success the Bruins have had in the past here with the longest playoff streak, which is obviously going to end this year. But it is it's a little bit refreshing to be on this side of it.
It's projected to be in May.
Yeah, that's not surprising. I mean, if it was May 7th last year, you're probably looking at similar date. It'll probably be sometime within that second week of May.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm down to do a draft lottery stream. If they get a top 5 pick, I'm down to do a draft reaction stream. I'm down to do the free agent frenzy cover. Like, there's so much stuff we can do.
Content.
True.
Let's go.
Yeah, Neil and I are gonna have a fun few years here if Boston decides to go with the 3-year, 2-year plan.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Like what you saw? Be sure to come back next week for episode 388 of the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast, where we'll continue to talk all things Bruins. See you then.